So welcome. We're here to talk about vibe coding, a very recent trend in this industry. Who here has vibe coded lately? Oh, only 3 or 4. Okay, so me and David will speak about the experience that we had with 2 different use cases during the last 2 months, more or less. So I'm Luís, so David, and we're both staff engineers at xgeeks. So what is vibe coding? Vibe coding is a new paradigm in software development. It's an approach that leverages the use of AI instead of the traditional engineering structure development. It focuses on results and outputs, and as I said, it kind of shifts a little bit away of the traditional way of developing software. It also puts an emphasis on the creative flow, meaning that you use this to not really think about technical blockers or challenges. You focus more on the product you want to build. And this is the sum up, so you gain speed, but you will lose something along the way, and we will talk about that. So me and David embarked in a journey. Like most of the people in this room, I believe we wanted to have a side hustle to get rich really quick. So I believe that's a common thing between us. But we have a problem. Our side hustle, it's basically a marketplace to sell custom posters for developers. And David will speak a little bit about it. And also a little bit of dog fooding. This presentation itself was done through vibe coding, and we will also talk about that. Basically, this is JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, so it was really easy to get started with this. And that's what we will speak about. Okay, so the programmer's poster shop. We build an entire product, let's put it that way, entirely with vibe coding. Basically, we didn't even look at the code till while the product was almost finished. And we got a few surprises with that, but before that, it's not live yet, but basically this is the homepage. In terms of design, responsiveness, and so on, I have to be honest, we almost didn't touch the code, all AI. And this is the custom builder page where you build your own poster so that you can frame your own code on the wall. This looks like a sales pitch, but it's not. It's really what it does. And this one was a little bit trickier. And David will talk about the challenge of creating this.
So what was our main challenge here with the e-commerce store? Basically, we had severely time restrictions and resource restrictions. And we needed full stack development. We needed to do front end, back end, finance, design, product, everything that we needed to do. We knew that a traditional approach to engineering would take us several weeks to make anything even working, so we didn't want to spend that much effort. And we needed to know about multiple technical domains, even about finance, for example, to integrate with invoicing, all that stuff. So I'll start with this prompt with AI, basically. We first gave a context to the AI in order to explain our business, what we want to achieve, how we want to do it. And then we added the first order of business, and we started with theming. We understood that if we started with a central theming, we could then move forward with other tasks. And that was the first job that we had for the AI. The single prompt provided the initial context that we were then always passing on to the AI so that he always knew what he had to do at all times. So the development journey was much like any other development journey that we do in engineering. We first did design and prototyping, except it was through vibe coding with AI. Then we stepped on into implementation. So we passed from prototypes to functional prototypes just to test out the stuff. And then we intervened, integrated, and tested just to see if the expected behavior was what we were hoping for, or if we did, or if we needed to do something else in order to achieve the outcomes that we wanted. So this will be a prompt that we use to evolve the design, to make an extra step on that. And we had the product details page for our posters, and it was kind of lacking in terms of the user wasn't really aware of the choices he made about the variants of the product. And this is the outcome of such a prompt to evolve the design. So we evolved the theme chooser. Oh, it's not really explicit here, but we evolved the theme chooser to reflect the colors of the IDEs that we wanted to sell, and also the color, the sizes of the poster itself. So this was the evolution of the design from the AI. Don't look at the poster. It's just an example poster.
Okay, so it looks cool so far. At least the design, in my opinion, is quite attractive. But not every prompt worked as we expected, especially the builder page. And this was what we wanted the AI to generate. The builder page sets things like font size, family, color, themes, text alignment. And it includes multiple rich text editors that need to be in sync. And basically, the vibe coding AI approach couldn't solve the challenge. It kept confusing state, managing state without single source of truths in multiple places. And we ended up like this. And maybe for a couple of hours. Like we built that screen in like 1 minute or two, the whole screen, that good looking screen. But then we spent like 1 hour like this. Still doesn't work, please fix it. Guess what? We ended up doing it by hand the old school way. I think I can call traditional engineering the old school way now. Okay, this is a nice tweet that reflects what I'm trying to convey here. So Leo, for those who don't see it, was really happy on the 15th of March this year. He was able to, without writing any code, he built a software as a service. AI is no longer just an assistant, it's also the builder. You can just start building, and this is awesome. And people pay for it. So yeah, this was kind of what me and him wanted to do. People pay for something that we didn't have any effort building. Unfortunately, 2 days later, the same Leo, was under attack. Random things were happening. Guess why? Maxed out usage on API keys, people bypassing subscriptions. Well, this just to say that, and this part is important, I'm not technical, so this is taking me longer than usual to figure out. So I think the AI stuff and the vibe coding stuff can be really useful, but you still need to have some base knowledge. You need engineering knowledge. It's not just product, you type and it does whatever you want. And I will show you why. So when vibe coding goes wrong, non-technical users very easily create issues that they don't even have the ability to detect in early stages. So, like I said, our shop looked really well on the screen. The problem started when users tried to interact with it. So there was some red flags that a non-technical user easily would overlook. No error handling, security vulnerabilities. I know someone here is going to talk about security. I do not recommend vibe coding security. Performance bottlenecks. This was out of the box. Every time we wanted more performance, we had to do it ourselves. Poor code organization, basically not scalable. Vibe coding is great to create POCs or something, but as the code base evolves, it's a nightmare. Basically, AI duplicates code and all of that. So, yeah.
So
we didn't practice much, so we don't really know when to switch.
So what were the key challenges that we identified and that we actually needed to put our knowledge in engineering together in order to solve stuff? Basically, while integrating anything that is even remotely complex, integration of state between several different components in a hierarchy is an example, which was the builder page. Payment integration, we integrated with Stripe, so integration with payment was really kind of not working well because the AI was, even though it had the documentation for Stripe, it was still making up some options that weren't there, and we couldn't really rely on the help that it was giving.
Can I give a bonus tip? This one is free. Do not use creativity vibe coding when dealing with payment systems. This one is free.
We also had issues with central theming system. So we knew that we wanted to use the same themes over and over again for the whole application, but the AI kept forgetting on how to use stuff correctly. We had everything centralized in our Tailwind config, and still it didn't use the helpers and the variants that we created every time that we wanted to make a new page, for example. So this was also an issue. And for the code readability and maintenance, again, like Luís mentioned, complexity grows exponentially if we let the AI do everything over and over and over again for all the problems that we want to solve. So engineering needs to keep an eye on that in order to keep complexity low and to keep the maintenance effort maintainable. And also security concerns. Again, for example, the webhooks for Stripe needed a hash validation, and we needed to intervene there in order to make sure that everything works correctly. If not, it would probably not be secure at all. So what were the actual results of all this vibe coding with the e-commerce store? For the wins, we did have a functional store in days instead of weeks. And when I mean functional, it's not in production, but it is functional. We achieved a clean, modern, and most of all, responsive design in just a few days, basically, and that was amazing. It reduced time a lot. And if we had moved into production, if we had time to do it, but we still don't have time to do it, we would have achieved an incredible time to market. What are the trade-offs, though? Some performance inefficiencies, so engineering needs to step in here, and it also needs to step in every major part of the e-commerce flow, basically, for the payment integration, for the builder page, which is a more complex page, but other e-commerce parts can be as easily complex. And for the maintenance effort, that we need to keep an eye on it constantly, basically. This is just a bonus prompt that I wanted to leave here, and the slides will be available later, so you can also check this later. If you ask the AI to create a plan to solve some problem and ask it to come up with 2 different approaches and document them in a file, you can then ask the AI to explicitly say what the approach will be, technical aspects, pros, cons, conclusions. And then you can basically move forward with one approach. If you see that you're going down a rabbit hole and doesn't fix the problem, you can always reset to the point of the plan, of the file, and you can ask it to reset there, and you can continue again, like a checkpoint in a game. So this is basically what I just mentioned, so I'm going to skip that. So for case study 2.
Okay. So who has seen Inception, the movie? Leo DiCaprio. Almost everyone. Okay, this is the same approach. Basically, we wanted to talk about vibe coding. We wanted to give a presentation about vibe coding. What did we do? We vibe coded a presentation about vibe coding. So Inception. The presentation process. So we had a concept that basically was, let's speak about vibe coding. So that was the concept. The AI did the rest, to be honest. It generating the visual design. What was a good base point and leverage for AI was that we give it instructions to use this type of presentation. This is, again, this is not a PowerPoint or a Keynote or something. It's just plain HTML and JavaScript. So that helped a lot the AI. Creating compelling content, that's up to you if you're finding compelling content, and smooth transitions. Of course, like the previous example, and I guess like all examples, it wasn't successful on the first shot. We kept iterating and refining the process.
So how did we start the presentation prompt? Basically with all this text, and this set the stage for everything that we needed to do in the presentation. We didn't need to add much more context than this. It was just iterating over stuff that we wanted to do extra from what the AI already did. We started by adding some context of the talk that we want to give, the audience, how the talk is going to be divided, the main flow and narrative of what we wanted to convey to the audience, and also the punchline that we wanted to convey, which is basically that engineering is still going to be around, so good for us.
Job security.
Job security. And we started with that prompt. We iterated over the results just for some hours. If we were doing this in other formats, it would probably take us several hours to achieve the same outcome. And then we continued to refine over the content that we had until we achieved this final presentation as you see here today. So where does vibe coding shine? Rapid prototyping, MVPs, POCs, if you want to do stuff quick and be able to show the progress. Solo developers and small teams can also be a real benefit, but again, it needs engineering background. Content creation and tooling, it's amazing, like this presentation. Internal tools and automation also for companies, for example, internal tools for companies. And also to learn new technologies. It also helps to investigate over new technologies that we may or may not want to dive too deep. And now where engineering knowledge matters.
So where engineering knowledge matters, he calls me. I just want to go back one slide. So what do you think of the style of the presentation, by the way? It's good looking, good enough. Okay, so this, good enough? Okay, his fault. Basically, we have a 15-year gap. This is a cyberpunk theme, something I didn't even knew it existed. And he spent more time doing this kind of shenanigans than part of the content itself.
The AI.
So, engineering matters. Production grade systems, you cannot vibe code that, at least not yet. Maybe in a couple of years, months, but just forget about it. You will run into problems, and if scale comes into the game, even worse. Security, we already mentioned, performance also, complex integrations, like I said, do not vibe code payment systems, not even integrations with payment systems. You will fall on your face when you least expect it. Long-term maintenance, this is the good part. I see there's a trend. A lot of people will vibe code every idea they have, and that's great. And that will give work to many of us because someone will have to fix all of those vibes. So basically, vibe coding, the sweet spot, I think it's really great for getting feedback when your client, your customer, even yourself doesn't really know what it wants to do, just has an idea. POCs, it's great. Functional prototypes, they're basically POCs. But then you have to move to the traditional process, the engineering process, when you want to reach production, when you have critical components like that mess with user, with authentication, with payment systems. Don't vibe code that, at least not for now. And scale and performance, I still believe a human can do it better. I even have kind of, I think this is a very nice cartoon. I think instead of vibe coding, most of us would do something like vibe engineering, where you have some fundamental knowledge that you are able to transfer to the AI and keep that communication at a higher level. Yeah.
So with all this, what do we want to convey? The pointer. What do we want to convey with all this presentation? Vibe coding. It's not a fad, but it's definitely not the whole future. Engineering still has a lot to add, and it's kind of a needed effort in order to do something that's meaningful. But it is a powerful new tool that we have at our disposal as the engineering toolkit.